just come right up here, and you don't. If you want to pull this out, you can. Do you want to be taller, or do you think it's okay? Okay, so then you'll just read it. You can even leave the piece of paper like up here if you want. Yep, I'm gonna put it up there just so nobody grabs it. And then you just read it. I'll light it, and then you go down. This is Peyton. And
you're here. Thank you. Now I don't have to do it. Good job.
So I'll sit by you if you want me to.
Good morning. Good morning and welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Church of Rochester. We are a congregation that believes in many spiritual teachings that lead us in practices of justice and love. Your faith, your doubts, your hopes, your identity are welcome here. You can join us after service downstairs in the Commons for refreshments. And there are many ways to give through the church this season. Our Sunday offering throughout the month on Sundays goes to our Justice Partner Family Promise. Gifts for the giving tree downstairs can be returned. You can see them gathering all around the bottom of the tree there. And they'll be distributed starting this afternoon as well. So if you have any questions about it, you can ask staff or other leaders. And then if you have your guests at your table boxes, we'll invite you or a designee near you if you don't want to come up. During the greeting and during the opening hymn, you can come up and place them under the trees back here. So your guests at your table boxes can come forward. So if you don't want to bring yours, you can hand it to someone near you that seems more excited to carry boxes forward. Or you can set them on the table down in the lobby as well. So thank you for all these ways to give. And you can join us this week for many special services. Due to weather last week, our Blue Holiday service was postponed. So we'll gather tomorrow evening at 6:30 p.m. for the Blue Holiday service with music from Lori Helmers. We'll have treats following in the Commons as well to help hold the many emotions of the holiday season. All are welcome. And then this Wednesday evening is our winter solstice celebration. We have supper at 5:30, story time up here in the sanctuary at 6:30, and then a service at 7 o'clock. We'll have some candle, quiet darkness in here, and then move out to the courtyard right after that to end with a fire. So it'll be a roaring fire. We'll have some space heaters on as well. It's going to be a little chilly, but we won't be outside for long, and I do believe it will be quite magical to be together. And the more of you come, the warmer it will be. So Wednesday evening, supper at 5:30, story time at 6:30, service in here starting at 7 o'clock. Christmas Eve services are at 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. with the dessert reception between. You can feel free to bring some treats to share. And note the next 2 Sundays, there's no service next Sunday, Christmas Day, and then we return on New Year's Sunday with our annual ritual of change and growth with a special chalice ritual as part of that. So 1 service that morning at 10 a.m. So a lot of services and different schedules this week. You can find it all in your e-news on the website. We hope you join us throughout this week. So I invite you to take a breath as we enter our worship time this morning with these words from the Reverend Eliza Tupper Wilkes, our minister in the 1870s. May our faith in humanity and our message of hope and good cheer light our way. It's good to be together. In just a moment, our music will call us back together, but in the meantime, I invite you to rise in body or spirit, give a wave to those online, greet one another, and you can start gathering boxes up here near the tree during this or the hymn as well.
Thank you.
In this holiday season, may the darkness of winter be dispelled in the festival of lights, and may the darkness of ignorance be dispelled in the strength of compassion, reason, and sharing.
Well, thank you, girls, for that stirring rendition of Jingle Bells. Somehow the song that's going through my head this morning is Baby, It's Cold Outside. So this evening is the first night of Hanukkah, and Luke and Amy asked me if I'd just say a few words about Hanukkah. So here I am. On each night, we light the candles for 8 different nights, and on the menorah with the helper candle with the shamas lit, you see there's one candle in the menorah. That's for the first night. On the second night, there'll be 2 nights, 2 candles, then 3, etc., up to 8 candles. That menorah was a gift to us from my mother. Elizabeth said when our children were very young that she wanted a menorah so that we could do Hanukkah in our house. And my mother was ecstatic and went out very quickly and got us that menorah. It's a tree of life menorah, and we use it every year. It reminds me of my mom, and it reminds me of my Jewish heritage. Now, there are 8 spaces for candles, and I think most of you know the story of Hanukkah. Part of it is historical, and part of it is a myth. The historical part is that about 2,500 years ago, the Syrians and the Greeks invaded Judea and occupied the country. And for a while, they outlawed Jews from observing Judaism. And after about 50 years, Judah Maccabee led a small army of Jewish warriors and threw the Syrians and Greeks out. Then they went to repair and get the temple back in order and consecrate it and light the eternal flame. Now, just like our chalice, there is a flame in every synagogue and Jewish temple in the world. It's called the eternal flame, and it usually hangs from the ceiling, slightly behind the rabbi and a little bit in front of the ark that holds the Torah, the Holy Scripture, the Holy Jewish Scriptures. That light always stays lit. We put our chalice out at the end of a service, but the eternal flame sanctifies the room and represents the presence of God. They went to light the eternal flame and realized they only had enough oil for the eternal flame to burn for one day. They didn't use candles then. They used olive oil, which they burned just like in our chalice with a wick, and it burned all the time. So they sent away for more oil, and this is where the myth comes in. At least I think it's a myth. The oil that should have only burned for one day burned for 8 days, and that was viewed as God's miracle. So Hanukkah is celebrated for 8 days to acknowledge that miracle of the oil burning for 8 days. Now, Hanukkah was always one of my favorite holidays. It's celebrated in the home. I don't remember ever going to temple on Hanukkah. We only went to temple once a year in my family. My family was really Jewish humanists. We weren't really religious Jews. But we celebrated the holidays in the home, and they were always fun. So on Hanukkah, as the sun went down, that meant that the holiday was about to start. So as it got dark, we waited for my dad to get home, and then we lit the candles. Before we lit the candles, we said the blessings for the candles. Usually it was the children that said the blessings. The blessing, like many Jewish blessings and prayers, starts Baruch Atah Adonai. Adonai means God, and Baruch Atah Adonai means blessed be our God. So the blessing is said, Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Chanukah. As a child and as an adult, I always liked this ritual. As the house darkened, it was nice for the family to stand around the menorah and see the flickering candles, almost like sitting around a campfire and feeling its warmth. And it was always an enjoyable time. After lighting the candles, we sat down to a holiday meal, and that meal was almost always the same. It was chicken matzo ball soup, potato latkes with cold applesauce, and jelly donuts for dessert. My mom made very good matzo ball soup. And she made great potato latkes. They were hot and crisp and just delicious with cold applesauce. And in my lifetime, I hesitate to admit how many latkes I've eaten. After dinner, we usually got some small amount of chocolates, often in the form of coins. Coins like these gold foil coins, which I'm sure many of you have seen, and we would play dreidel. Now, dreidel, for a religious holiday, it's a little strange to realize that playing with a dreidel is actually a gambling game. So a dreidel is like a top. It has 4 sides on it. Depending what side faces up, it tells you whether you have to put a coin in the middle or whether you take out a coin or whether you take the whole pot. And we played with the dreidel until our chocolates were done in the evening. So this evening, Elizabeth and I will light the menorah at our house. Our kids and grandkids will come over. we'll light the menorah, say the blessing, we'll have a holiday dinner, and we'll play with the dreidel. Our grandsons generally don't use the dreidels to gamble. They use it to compete to see who can spin the dreidel the longest. That was Hanukkah for me. It was an enjoyable holiday, and I look forward to lighting the menorah again and remembering my Jewish roots and remembering, of course, my mama. Amy is going to read a story now.
So oftentimes there's times definitely people think that things are similar enough, like Hanukkah and Christmas. And I challenge everybody to take a little bit of a closer look at that and make sure that we can embrace our sense of wonder and ask those questions as we look a little bit more closely at the true differences of things. So today's story is Hanukkah Bear by Eric Kimmel, and it's illustrated by Mike Wanuka. Old Bear awoke from his sleep and poked his nose outside his den. What was that? Something to eat, and his stomach rumbled, and he shook himself all over and went to the den, got out of his den and followed this delicious smell. Bubba Braina took the last potato latke from the pan and put it in with the oven with the others. Bubba Braina was 97 years old and did not hear or see as well as she used to, but she still made the best potato latkes in the village, and it must be a different village than your mom. Every year at Hanukkah time, all her friends came to her house at the edge of the forest, and they loved those potato latkes. Tonight she made twice as many because it was a special night. The rabbi was coming for the potato latkes tonight. So Bubba Braina hurried to get ready. She suddenly heard the thump at the door, and she said, "Rabbi, you're here early. How nice to see you." "Rumph," growled the old bear. "Happy Hanukkah to you too. Please come in." So Old Bear walked into the house, and Bubba Braina tried to take his coat, and Old Bear was having none of it. "Oh, you want to keep your coat on? Okay, Rabbi, that's okay. You can keep your coat on. It's chilly in here." "Thank you, Rabbi. How kind of you to say that. The latkes will taste even better than they smell." So Old Bear followed his nose to the oven. "Rabbi, I'm surprised at you. You know we don't eat until we light the menorah." "Grrr. That's right. I know you were just teasing, so I'll light the candles, and will you say the blessing?" Rumph. So Bubba Braina struck a match and lit the shamus candle, and then she lit the one for the first night. Old Bear muttered and growled, "Who has kept us alive, sustained us, and enabled us to reach the season. Oh, Rabbi, you say the blessing so beautifully." So Bubba Braina sits down at the table, and Old Bear sat beside her. "Let's play dreidel, and we'll use these nuts." They must not have had any gold coins. Old Bear cracked one with his teeth. "Rabbi, you won't have any nuts for the game if you eat them." "But don't worry, I have plenty of nuts if you need more," Bubba Braina said, spinning the dreidel. "I win!" Bubba Braina swept the nuts into her apron. "Roar!" Old Bear roared. "Oh, don't be angry, Rabbi. It's only a game." And she tossed him a nut, and Old Bear begged for more. "No, Rabbi, no more nuts. It's time for dinner." So she went to the oven and took out the steaming potato latkes. Old Bear sniffed. "Do you prefer sour cream or jam?" Or cold applesauce, obviously. Bubba Braina asked. "Roar!" Old Bear growled. "Jam, I thought so." Bubba Braina smeared 5 big latkes with the jam and stacked them on Old Bear's plate. He gobbled them down. "You should use a fork." Baba Brena said, "You have jam all over your beard. I must tell you, Rabbi, you eat like a bear." "Oh, I'm hungry like a bear, so I eat one." "Okay, I can see that," Baba Brena said. Old Bear ate and ate and ate till all the latkes were gone. And then he started feeling drowsy. "Rabbi, you're sleepy. Who wouldn't be so sleepy after such a meal? It's time to go home." But before you leave, I have a Hanukkah present for you. Baba Brena took a red scarf out of her knitting and wrapped it around Old Bear's neck. "I made it myself." Old Bear shuffled to the door. "Rumph," he growled as he walked off into the night. "Good night to you, too. Happy Hanukkah." Baba Brena was washing the dishes when she heard another knock. "I wonder who that is." "Shalom, Baba Brena." All her friends stood at the door. "Shalom, everybody," Baba Brena said. "How nice to see you. I'm sorry I don't have any more latkes. The rabbi came by and ate them all." "Baba Brena, don't you recognize me?" It was the rabbi. "The rabbi couldn't have eaten your latkes," said everyone. "He's been with us in the synagogue." Something strange is happening. Rabbi, I think there's an imposter going around. He looks like you, he talks like you, he even has your beard." Just then the children cried, "Look at the floor, there's bear tracks." "A bear?" said Baba Brena. "And I thought it was the rabbi." That was a very clever bear and a very foolish Baba Brena. Well, let's all have a happy Hanukkah. Bring some potatoes from the cellar, fetch my grater and my bowl. Everybody has to help. You too, Rabbi. And if we all work together, they'll soon have latkes enough for everyone. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, Old Bear slumbered in his den. His stomach was full of potato latkes. A warm woolen scarf was wrapped snugly around his neck, and he had pleasant dreams and a happy Hanukkah. So we'll do things a little differently today. The child's choir gets to sing with the adult choir. So after the choir sings, we'll all go down.
Sing Growing up, my Advent calendar was made of decorative blue cardboard with simple paper flaps that folded back and revealed religious holiday images: an angel, a star, a shepherd, and eventually a nativity scene. Since it was used year after year, the flaps didn't always stay closed, which allowed this impatient child to sneak a peek at the treats of the coming days. My 1950s calendar was very simple compared to what is available today. If you do a quick search, you will find a multitude of theme choices ranging from chocolate to tea. There is even an Advent calendar made of Legos. Every day, some construction is required. Such varied product availability is the reason why, after surviving months of political endorsement, we now are inundated with holiday ads, all promoting a sense of must-haveness. Ads with the potential to take us further and further away from the original intent of the seasonal holy days of Hanukkah and Christmas. Hanukkah, as Jerry shared, the festival of lights, commemorating a time of miracles when the faith of the Jewish people sustained them to reclaim their holy temple and keep the light of the menorah burning for 8 days. Advent, these weeks that we are in right now in preparation for Christmas, the celebration of the humble birth of Jesus in a stable, days that the Reverend Megan Lloyd Joyner calls the waiting time. But waiting is hard, especially when Christmas-themed stores are open year-round and 2-day delivery requires just a click of the mouse. In a society reveling in perpetual motion, the idea of waiting is often translated into a sense of doing nothing, that we are somehow disloyal or disconnected if we seek the quiet, or admit to being overwhelmed by the barrage of 24/7 news reporting on the war in Ukraine or eruptions in Indonesia or the nearly daily gun violence in the United States. For this feeling of disconnection, Reverend Joyner offers this advice: not just to wait, but to wait actively, to do the work of preparing hearts and tilling the soil that awaits seeds of hope and love. She encourages us to be present in each moment of waiting. Or, as Reverend Luke preached last Sunday in his annual humbug sermon, there is a reminder to slow down, be it by blizzard of the sky or blizzard of the soul. He reminded us that to pause, to wait, to rest is not an invitation to isolation or hibernation, but when the world feels like storm, it is our natural reminder to pause. He invited us to find ways of entering the season with intention. As Advent continues and Hanukkah begins this evening at nightfall, and as we approach the winter solstice, when we explore seasons and cycles and celebrate the light of days growing longer, if only by a few seconds, may you enjoy lighting a candle, or 8. May you be present in each moment of waiting, and may you find ways of entering the season with intention.
Good morning. It is good to be with you. I invite you to settle in here as we create a place of communal caring and connection. It's our time to pause amidst the busyness of our lives, to slow down enough to consider the beauty that is here all around us, and to open a space for listening and love. Here, we honor all who support us in this caring, loving, and all-inclusive ministry. We send gratitude to Linda Thompson, serving as our caring coordinator, arranging care for our members and friends in need. Vicki Wolf will take over tomorrow for the next 2 weeks, and we thank her for that. The members of our caring committee are wonderful examples of our compassionate community, holding us up as we go through challenging and happy times. And life can be challenging. We could all use some extra support with what life throws at us. And if you are experiencing challenges in your life, we encourage you to reach out for support and help. If you need additional care, whether it be personal, pastoral care, or other assistance, please reach out to Reverend Luke or myself. In this community, we share pieces of our lives with one another. We do this because all people here have value. Each person's experience matters. We lift up those who are experiencing sadness, illness, or loneliness. May the strength and love in our congregation help guide you. We revel in those who are experiencing joys in their lives. May their happiness lift us all, and may their joy filter into all around them. May all of us find love, hope, joy, and healing strength in our community. We hold Jan and Tom Weber in our hearts today with the news of the death of Tom's mother in Austin, Texas, who was 93. We send healing thoughts to Tom and the entire family as they remember her. And we hold Erica Beecher and family as her mother is hospitalized, struggling with dementia, and beginning to assess hospice. She celebrated her 85th birthday yesterday, and we hold the Beecher family in love. And it is with a deep sorrow that Jane Foote shares the news of the unexpected passing of her son, James Jeck, 36 years old. James took his own life on December 11th, and there is still much uncertainty about these circumstances. A memorial is being planned in Circle Pines in early January. We are holding Jane and her daughters and family in deep and abiding love as they ask for our prayers and loving thoughts in these tender days. Cards of love and care are very welcome. And Robin Taylor and Joe Lobel are thrilled to announce the birth of their first grandchild to their daughter Jessica and son-in-law Jack Lowenstein, stationed in Petersburg, Alaska. Jack obviously runs a tight ship, as Naomi Ruth Lowenstein Lobel was born precisely on her due date of December 7th, a day that will live in joy and happiness for the whole family, and we congratulate them and welcome this new life to the world. Here, our service to each other, to the world, and to our faith is our focus. Let us carry that out into the wider world. May the faith and the spirit of life, love for the community of earth, and love for the light in each other be ours now and in all the days to come.
I invite you to take a deep breath. Breathe deep the breath of life. Feel below you the earth and its ancient turning. Above you the sky, and beyond that the stars shining with their ancient light, holding you in this moment, this breath. You yourself made of earth and stars. Know that in this house you are named, you are known as beloved, as sacred. I invite you into this time of meditation, this time of prayer, first by sharing silence together. Spirit of life, source of love and light and dark, God and Goddess of 1,000 names and beyond all naming. These days can seem to close in on us, this dark stretching as deep as it can now, the light less, the air frigid. For some, the days filled to the brim with too much to do. For some, the days quiet, filled with empty spaces that are hard to hold. For many, some mixture of both, reminding us of how much the soul is asked to hold, asking for our resilience and courage, even if we're not sure we can muster it. When oil in the lamp is low, or when joy in the soul is hard to come by, help us to remember the circle opens wider only when we notice all that is around us. The blessing of cold and sky covering every branch for days, the blessing of compassion from a friend or a stranger who offers care in this world or a helping shovel, treats on a plate, all of which carry with them the stories and memories of many years that reached them at some point, some love that reached through generations against many odds, some of them impossible to imagine. And yet, here it is. Love still finds its way through the dark, with enough light to maybe not light up the whole world, but enough light to light the small corner of this moment, and the only moment that matters. In this sacred hour, we hold our joys and sorrows, both known and unknown. I invite you to bring the names you're holding in your own heart this day in joy or sorrow, celebration or concern, and silently or aloud now in this time to speak their names. For the names spoken and unspoken, may we all be held in love and light. These words of meditation come from Mark Bellatini, entitled Hanukkah, First Night. The miracle is not that oil lasts, but that our hope lasts, despite disappointment. Baruch atah tikva, blessed be hope that sustains us. The miracle is not that fire illumines, but that we grow brighter, shining like stars. Baruch atah zohar, blessed be the light that sustains us. The miracle is not that people tell ancient stories, but that people dare to live their own stories. Baruch atah midrashim, blessed be the stories that sustain us. The miracle is not that tyranny is resisted, but that resistance creates us into new beings. Baruch atah kadash, blessed be what we may become. The miracle is not that courage exists, but that courage does not every time have to ball itself into a fist. Baruch atah kayu, blessed be the courage that sustains us. May we find within our shared lives and common hopes many griefs known and unknown, and many miracles known and unknown. Courage to keep kindling lights of hope and compassion, and to help each other find our way in the dark. May it be so. Amen.
The first reading is a poem by Marge Piercy, Season of Skinny Candles. A row of tall, skinny candles burns quickly into the night air. The shamus raised over the rest for its hard work. Darkness rushes in after the sun sinks like a bright plug pulled. Our eyes drown in night thick as ink pudding, when even the moon starves to a sliver of quicksilver, the little candles poke holes in the blackness. A time to eat fat and oil, a time to gamble for pennies and gamble around the table, a light and easy holiday. No disasters, no repentance, just remember and enjoy. The miracle is really 8 days and nights without trouble. The second is a poem by Marcus Jackson, Winter Thanks. To the furnace, tall, steel, rectangular, containing a flawless flame, to heat guiding through ducts, praise every furry grain of every warm hour. Praise each deflection of frost. Praise the fluent veins. Praise the repair person trudging in a Carhartt coat to dig for leaky lines. Praise the equator, where snow is a stranger. Praise the eminent sun for letting us orbs buzz around it. Praise our ancestors who shuddered through winters bunched on stark bunks, much longer in the icy wind. Praise the neon antifreeze in our Chevrolet radiator. And praise the kettle whistle imitating an important train, delivering us these steam-brimmed cups of tea. The ushers will receive your offering.
Thanks, Joe. Do you ever get distracted? Or never? Good. Yeah, me too. Or mismanage your time? It's never happened to me. In what seems like a routine ritual for me, I can mix up my to-do list like it gets inverted, kind of. Putting first on the list the least important things is what I attend to first. Maybe you do this too, where you follow a thread of something that's grabbing your attention, and you follow it, and then you spend minutes or hours or days or years following that thing instead of what you had intended. Mostly it happens in small ways where I end up rushing through things that needed to be done at the end of my list. Even simple things, I just keep pushing them off, like holiday orders of service or laundry, or I spend ridiculous amounts of time on that little project or on this spreadsheet or crafting this order, or I center the sanctuary chairs again and again because they're not quite right. There are days, sometimes of the year more than others, where the balance, the scale, the calendar of the soul feels a bit off, a little wonky, not quite right. Too much of this, not enough of that, and then the scale tips a bit. It happens in recipes, probably often for me, like the time I put tablespoons instead of teaspoons of salt into those now infamous, horrible biscuits, to the point where one of the young ones around our table, every time I try to make biscuits again, eats it so hesitantly, as if they're certain there might be poison in there. Or it happens in weather all the time too. Oversaturation of snow or rain here and drought there, where you think, why can't we just scoop that up and put it where it needs to be? Or it happens in humanity, where the scale is off all the time, where some get more and others get less. Sometimes for logical reasons, sometimes for systemic reasons. A recent expert just on the radio this week caught my attention. They reminded us about this study, talking about how white children experiencing homelessness are still scoring higher on tests than children of color at almost every economic level. The reminder that race plays a more significant role than economics in testing and education. All of these realities, of course, overlapping and intersecting, where the scale is simply off. It happens in workplaces too, how the last few years has increased flexibility for some in some jobs and has squeezed rigidity into blue-collar or public service jobs that can't stay home or work remotely because they are face-to-face with patients or students or customers. It's that old adage about how capitalism often ends up working, where the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, of things getting easier for those for whom it's already easy and harder for those who already have it hard. The scale is simply off. And beyond these large-scale, hard-to-know things of this larger life imbalance, it also shows up in our daily lives all the time, does it not? Is there enough? Oil in the lamp, time in the schedule, space in the heart to attend to what we need to attend to? It's often the question. Too much of this, not enough of that. Too much on administrative details and emails, not enough time to dwell in wonder or play in the snow. Too much time spent on holiday memes and jokes and social media, not enough time spent on important holiday tasks like, sermons. But yet, thank God for one of you gifted me. There it is. It hid down here in the magical pulpit. One of you gifted me this Lego set of Santa skiing down a thing. So things like this, they said every office needs a good Lego set. I love that. So I got distracted, and then I stopped writing the sermon. So that's the end. Now for the closing hymn. Just kidding. Because in fact, I do love crafting worship and sermon writing. It's nourishing to me even when there's not enough time for it in a given week. But that's the magic of intention, the wonder of it. When you slow down and do things you love, somehow it seems almost magically that the calendar of the heart opens a bit or opens differently. As if by taking time for joy and creativity, you create more time, or really you begin to hold time differently in this magic arithmetic of the heart. I'm preaching to myself here, trying to remind myself of these things, but I'm willing to guess you feel similar things too, maybe especially this season. Too much time spent trying to plan or schedule, make all the things work, make all the things perfect, not enough time spent slowing down, enjoying what is, being in the moment. During holiday times, for example, sometimes I've spent far too much time cleaning the counter and loading the dishwasher in the midst of festive gatherings. I don't know if you have this too, but some mixture in my childhood between messages from society that cleanliness is next to godliness, or watching Food Network shows saying you have to have your cleaning and cooking space clear, I'll get caught up in trying to maintain things in the midst of a gathering. And there have been moments where I've had hands covered in soapy water, the dishwasher open, piling things in, and I hear whatever's happening behind me, be it a conversation or games being played, and I think, this is ridiculous. Sometimes the world, the heart, the moment asks you to pay attention differently. Sometimes we have to work on it, and perhaps it gets better with practice to take a moment to think, what am I doing with my time? Is this how I want to spend it? Granted, doing dishes can be a beautiful communal practice or meditative, as Thich Nhat Hanh writes, and yet the question remains, am I fretting so much about so many things that can be trivial, that can wait, that I'm missing the whole point of what all of this is meant to create? Reminded me of a favorite reflection about an epitaph on a gravestone that a colleague wrote about, one that I've shared before maybe, but it bears repeating. It read on the gravestone, "They attended well and faithfully to a few worthy things." And my colleague loved it, and then began to nervously wonder, my God, what would it say on mine? She wondered, would it say that they always washed and dried every dish before playing with their children? Or they balanced their checkbook with meticulous precision, missed a lot of sunsets and a lot of love, but their money was in order? Or would it say they attended frantically and ineffectually to a great many unimportant details? Maybe that's the simple question. That's so hard to answer that it calls back to us over and over again. What am I doing and why? How am I attending well and faithfully to a few worthy things? As I shared last week, there's this necessary, constant reminder that we need. These spiritual questions about meaning, purpose, intention, how we spend our time and energy and resources, are materials of the soul. It's not about perfection, it's about practice. Is the point to keep the flame lit or to keep hope alive? Is the point to be, as a church, financially stable or living our mission? All of these things, yes, are interconnected and help hold each other, but one is the reason and one is the thing supporting it. Is the point to get all the gifts ready or get all the tasks done and all the cards sent, or is the point love? And if love is the point, how do we remember the many paths and many practices that lead us there over and over again? Perhaps the most prominent practice is gratitude. Like, praise be to the furnace and repair person. Praise be to the eminent sun and the ancestors who shuddered through winters. Praise be the antifreeze in the Chevy and the kettle's whistle bringing us the steam-brimmed tea. It is that orientation of the heart, the invitation to notice how we got to where we are through shudders of winter, through seemingly simple things like running water and heat, and the generations of folks who found their way out of no way, who struggled through frigid cold of body or soul, with a burning ember of gratitude for all the daily miracles that kept them alive, that keep us alive, all those who kept finding their way through their own grief, through their own loss, sorrow, through war and tyrants and 1,000 other reasons that could have, might have, understandably would have let the oil run out and the light go dim. That's the miracle of this season welcoming and honoring the sacred dark. That's the miracle of the flame staying lit through generations, not just the nights. Each act of resilience, each moment of choosing to go on, each decision that leans into hope or compassion or joy, even when there seemed every reason not to believe it, added oil to the lamp of our collective hearts. Sometimes through the simple acts of eating and gambling round the table, writes the poet, no disasters, no repentance, just remember and enjoy. That is a beautiful invitation, to remember and enjoy. This time of year can put the soul into hyperdrive, crisis mode of frenzy, where we not only notice but fervently try to avoid and stop every disaster, instead of just remember and enjoy. Attend to a few favorite worthy things, and in spite of everything that could sway the heart toward despair, there's plenty to sway it. Yet the miracle of hope can still be lit. That's a light that generations have lit for us, and it is our turn to keep adding oil to the lamp, to dwell in wonder, to lean into joy wherever, however, whenever we can make it work and fit it in. That's how the flame stays lit through the darkness, and together we find our way toward the light. The hymn is Light One Candle, number 221 in your gray hymnal. If you're not familiar with it, I invite you to grab a hymnal on the side if you don't have one. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing. I invite you, as you're comfortable, to place a hand on your heart or toward the sky or earth in gratitude and breathe deep the breath of life. As we extinguish this flame, may we know that the flame lives in each of us. It lives in each story and each memory and each song. It lives in traditions old and traditions new. It lives in a way that will light us through the dark. May it be so. Amen.
you.